New York and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning, Laura Styles, Rosenberg, give it up, Keller Mike on the show.
Hey, good
Trigger
morning.
Morning on Netflix if you haven't watched it.
Really good.
Run the Jewels, man. Listen, man, last time we talked, I think he was putting out Run the Jewels 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I just want to say 3, kill your masters and message to the shareholders. And
It might get better each one.
Yo, listen, man.
That's the plan.
I think they get
The
better each
Outkast
one.
EPMD effect is what we're shooting.
Yeah.
I love it.
4 classic records that progress.
When's the next Run the Jewels?
We start. I got the first beats, and I already run around freestyling to it. We'll start recording probably in the next couple of weeks, and L said it would be by the summer, so can't make your best friend alive. We got to get it out.
By the summer.
To put it out by the summer.
Yeah, that's what L said. L said's coming this summer.
Okay.
I saw you guys doing some shows in and around Atlanta. How did you like the Super Bowl in Atlanta?
Yeah, we opened for the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Give us big credit, not a little credit.
Yeah,
Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters
Yeah, in
is a
and
big
around
deal.
Atlanta, it was like playing Compound.
Right.
That's why I
My
went
bad.
with the Foo Fighter money.
Big money.
Yeah. Now we opened for the Foo Fighters. It was great. I want to thank Dave. Tom Morello came out and played with that set. Played with that set. I really got to learn my verse from that song, Tom, because that's the second opportunity I missed to come out with you. But nah, man, it was great. It's the fucking Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Me and L didn't have any particular interest, in the bowl itself, but like getting a chance to be in that environment, it was electric all that weekend in Atlanta.
Do you like, the city handled it well.
Absolutely,
right?
we did.
Without all of the bullshit, the city did a great job showing up and doing whatever.
Yeah.
Would you have liked to have seen more solidarity in favor of staying away from the bowl, or you just wasn't even...
No, it's many paths to freedom. I don't have any criticism or critique for anyone that chose not to or to.
Right.
Now, if we had a black people meeting the night before and nobody showed up to work, from the aisle attendees to the players to the reporters, and someone broke that solidarity, but we're about where the players union is, about 50-50 split. Some people agreed, some people didn't. But overall, the city got a boost of economy. Working class people made some money. Small business made some money. I got brothers with driving, companies, they sent in, everybody made money. So at the end of the day, you can't want what's best for black people and not want us to thrive in a capitalistic system, because it's where we are. And it brought money to the city. The city's better for it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the people that went out there and worked. I think I had a problem with Travis Scott. I didn't like the big boy thing, just because I know there's no money exchange.
Just because you're not from Atlanta, too, that's with Big Boy. You can't not like that. That's not you to like or not like.
Right.
I would have felt disrespected had Big Boy or 2 Chainz or Migos or anybody not been on that stage. I would have been further respected had anybody black not been on that stage.
As the representative for the city.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Absolutely.
Where do you stand with the NFL in general? Do you not consume it, or do you watch?
I haven't watched football in a couple of years.
Yeah.
I lived on a tour bus, too.
Right.
And I'm an adult now.
So,
But I think where he's at, are you not watching football because of the treatment of Colin Kaepernick, and
Or you
how it
just generally
became
don't watch?
a shenanigan show?
I think Skip Bayless made a hell of a point when he said this is more than a race issue, it's a trade issue. I think the player should have stood in solidarity with another player, because that would have strengthened their negotiations with the ironclad owner class that has broken them time and time again.
Right.
That's my official thoughts.
that's an interesting take on it. I had not heard Skip say that.
Talk about the precedent, right, of someone like a Colin Kaepernick using his platform to speak out on something like social injustice, right, and police brutality. Yeah. His team at the time stood with him. He donated $1 million. He donated $1 million. Everything was smooth. Yeah. Regular NFL negotiations, he opts out of his contract. He goes on to move on, right? Now we have a circumstance where we're watching somebody get blackballed.
Yeah.
If at his level can still be blackballed and there's no repercussions, that's a bad precedent.
There have been repercussions. This was the least watched football.
Okay.
Super Bowl 10 years.
So the people are spoken, and when you have to understand that you're cheering on martyrdom. You're cheering on someone making themselves a martyr, and martyrs, a death comes with that, and potentially that's the death of this man's career.
Yeah.
But it's his sacrificial. You know what I mean, and that should be honored. And with that said, there are many paths to freedoms. There's a brother that's playing football right now whose salary is going to provide greater play chances for young men who are in Miami.
And that's why I didn't really want the players to jeopardize their jobs.
Well, it doesn't work both ways.
Right.
You go, you do it all the way, or you don't criticize other people for their path. Right. But it doesn't get to work both ways. You can't say all of us in solidarity and we're not. either we all don't show up for work that day or we do. And I'll give you a perfect example. There was a thing on World Star where a young man videotaped a Mexican worker that had been wrongfully fired. All the Mexican workers walked out. They shut that plant down.
That's right.
The next day, the plant fired the man who filmed.
That's right.
You didn't hear about any black workers walking off. You didn't hear about those Mexican workers who he showed solidarity with walking off. It was just him by himself. So my empathy goes out to him because he made that move on the behalf of another human being, but it wasn't reciprocal.
Right.
So a lot of times when we're asking of people, we have to ask ourselves, are we going to be reciprocal? Are we going to demand of Colin Kaepernick what we wouldn't demand of ourselves? If all black people don't show up for work and all our allies, we need more John Browns. I'm not talking about an ally that's a politician, an ally that's going to lay down their life for you, a co-conspirator. If all of us don't show up for work, if everyone says, I'm going to protest police brutality by not paying taxes on April 15th, changes happen like that.
Quick.
But if you're not willing to do that, you can't critique and criticize others to the degree that we do, because that's just hurting each other and killing your allies. We all got the same master.
Which episode of the show did you learn the most from? I thought
Trigger warning?
Yeah, because episode 1, you trying to do everything all black and realizing that it was how difficult or impossible it was.
Yeah.
But which episode did you find yourself getting the most educated on?
The final one, because there's a guy popped up who, his name Mario, is a real guy, a real Puerto Rican guy. He's a gay kid. I found out later he performs in drag. He's an amazing human being, but I hated this kid when I first met him because I felt like he was Spanish, identifying as white, and he used that as an opportunity to use that class to look down on others. He hurt my friends' feelings. I had a group of guys trying to start a soda company. But he popped back up a couple more times, and the more I got to know him toward the end of the show, without giving you guys a spoiler, essentially I set up a circumstance where it's reality TV in that you get people to suspend belief. Like on Love and Hip Hop, you go on there as yourself, and you get drawn into these storylines and you get pulled. And so you suspend the fact that I got a real reputation out here on the streets. You might do anything. You had to get people to buy into that because these ain't actors. These are real just people. Right. You put them in an isolated situation like you would do college students and say, you're the jailers, you're the prisoners. And when put there in this place, suspending disbelief of the outside world and literally just focusing in on the group, what you see with Mario is he becomes more of a patriot for individuality, for self-reliance, and the people who are on the outside world, like the world we're in right now, who are fighting against injustices, once made law enforcement, they hold so tightly to the rules and standards that they hold it. And they end up not being oppressors, but being a version of what they fight against. And that's human nature. A lot of times we don't understand we are what we don't like when put in a different circumstance. And you have to start to, it challenged me to grow, my perspective. It challenged me to become more agreeable with people I disagree with and search for the humanity and search for the fix of the problem. I don't want to fix people. We have problems as humanity, and we can fix those problems without fixing people. So I'm leaning more toward Noam Chomsky and Jacques Fresco today than I am, some of the,
How does that fluctuate for you? I see you in a lot of conversations, right, where you're passionate, arguing a specific point, but then other times, embracing the reality of your upbringing and the way your grandfather raised you, and trying to. How does that fluctuate day to day for you?
I'm somebody's husband and dad, so my life is as maniac as anybody else's.
Right.
But with that said, I try to stay close to the foundation I was raised on. But I also understand that this is now better. This is not everybody's foundation, and everybody ain't gonna know. If the world went into apocalypse right now, everybody ain't gonna survive, and I gotta accept that. It's my responsibility to take care of me and my family, and to connect and build with other people that are strong like that and build a strong community. And those who don't, God bless you.
You mentioned these are real people on the show, right? Right now I just finished the Crippled Cola episode. So can you tell me about what kind of conversations have you had with the gentleman now that the show is aired?
Yeah.
And where are they now with the
I knew
business?
him before, and
Okay.
I knew two of them more closely than others. AC, like every young black handsome man with a great smile, he raps, right? And he's starting to get some buzz down in College Park where he is. Yayo, the other chubby brother, Yayo was already a businessman. I met Yayo slanging sneakers years ago, and that's why I was insisting about bringing him on, because I had seen his hustle and his drive. He has a clothing company called Cash Crop Clothing. I posted, if you follow me on Killer Mike under my IG, I posted he did like a braid silhouette jacket that's dope. You better have them made in the 3 and 4X too, Yayo. So he's pushing that. So I'm helping however I can with that. He's also, I think, to some degree, I think Gunna showed him some love. So shouts out to Gunna. Murdo is Murdo, and also throwing out good ideas. And Murdo's more community oriented, so he keeps the homies on the block, just letting them know what's going on. And Noonie actually has been doing. Noonie has come out with me, basically doing some light security and tour management stuff. But all the guys are still involved in pushing, the line toward legitimacy, through whether it be Crippled Cola or Team Blue or whatever they're going to end up. This thing grows into. They've committed themselves to legitimacy and being entrepreneurs.
I thought the sweatshirts was on sale because I saw you wearing them.
They're coming on sale, yeah. It was just a matter of, we were trying to be ready by the show, but I was moving around and doing some other stuff that we weren't quite ready. So they called us a couple weeks behind, but they'll be going up in a week or so.
The origins of gangs in America are many, right? And the origins of black gangs, and depending on where you were, especially Crips started with Black Nationalist Movement and communities coming
Revolution
together,
Progress.
et cetera. There's still some community efforts that get made, right? OGs taking on one another, but there's obviously it's been perverted in ways, right?
Yeah.
When you went into this episode, you knew that's why it's called trigger warning, obviously, because you knew you were going to trigger people in a way by saying, you know what, we're going to start a business based on this brand Crip. What's been the feedback on it?
I mean, I've overwhelmingly positive.
Right.
There's some caution and concern from people who've experienced it to the bad and the tragedy, and that's it. But when you say they sat with the branding manager, when you look at companies here in America, Coca-Cola was started by a Confederate soldier. Mm-hmm. Coca-Cola once had 3.5 grams of cocaine per bottle in it, and it went horrible for them the first 2 years in business, and yet they endured and pushed through. You can look at biker clubs and gangs. You can look at the Italian mafia, the Irish mafia, the Jewish mafia. They've been romanticized. Movies have been made about them. You can go by Godfather's Pizza. So either at some point as a people, either we take the tragedy of the drug war, the gangs, and we turn it into something commercial and valuable for us to profit from, or we don't, and we continue to be victims. It's just a choice. I'm okay. I'm trying to help use my platform to provide people who I've known and loved my whole life. My friends have been Crips since I was 12 years old. I think they first got in Atlanta. And I've seen brilliance, die. I've seen brilliance go into mediocrity. And I've also seen brilliance become organizers, become photographers, become artists and artisans. You know what I mean? So it's just simply my job to, as any friend would do, when you get an opportunity, you give your friends an opportunity. And it wasn't just the Crips. It was the Bloods also. In fact, the Blood, in that episode, his best friend, God bless the dead, was Troop, who was neighborhood Rolling 60 Crip. Yep. And if that friendship and bond can unite, and if in 1992 brothers, can form a peace treaty that was later dismantled by, in part, Rampart, dressing like gang members and going to rival neighborhoods, killing each other. So the government interjected, just like it did with COINTELPRO amongst black liberation organizations. If we can make up our mind to do this, it is doable. You can grow into what has become fraternal orders of such. If you go back, challenge every gang member to go watch Gangs of New York. Go watch Gangs of New York so you can see the political and ethnic gangs that help shape this country. You guys are redeemable, you are valuable, and you are needed in our community in a radically different way. That's all I'm saying. I just don't want to be Cyrus at the beginning of the Warriors. So,
I love everything that you talk about, and I love that you operate in this. I feel like you operate in a space where you're nuanced too. Like there's a lot of nuance and awakening that you're challenging people. But organizing is your origins, right? Like
I've been an organizer since I was 15. I'm more of a mobilizer now. To me, you can't call yourself an organizer if you aren't in the meetings on a weekly basis, So I'm a mobilizer with organizers and for organizers. But I started as an organizer.
And I see what you did with Trigger Warning as a kind of a hybrid of what you've done with your bars and rap and the things you talk about, as well as the organizing. You're challenging people to come to a space.
To do something,
and do something.
This is not just a show to watch. So at the end of the first episode, Black Friday, I've challenged you for 52 Fridays and beyond. Make every Friday Black Friday.
Support black businesses on Friday.
Every Friday. And I'm not talking to black people. I'm talking to all people. When the black community is a strong community, the greater community is a strong community. When Harlem was popping during the Harlem Renaissance, the greater community was popping.
And why?
Because if you look at Little Odessa, if you look at Chinatown, if you look at Koreatown, Los Angeles, wherever the dollar can stay amongst a group longer, that group economically becomes stronger. That group's banking and financial institutions become stronger. The education schools become stronger. The people become a value and an asset to the tax-paying base in a particular area. That's true in every other town. We've lost our pride in brown towns as black people. We've so integrated that we over-integrated our dollar. The Asian dollar stays in the community 28 days. So when you see Chinatown growing, they're growing because they mastered keeping the dollar in there 28 days. Jewish and white dollars stay in the community 22 and 23 days. The Latino dollar, 11 days, and the black dollar, 6 hours.
That's so crazy. That's such a crazy stat.
But when you think about the structure, right, or the dismantling of the structure of family, community, the desire to integrate, right, we left a lot of black wealth left black neighborhoods.
Yeah,
black intelligence left black neighborhoods. Black leadership left black neighborhoods.
And my neighborhood is, Google the Collier Heights. I grew up in Collier Heights, Adamsville community. The Collier Heights was a neighborhood that was gentrified by working class, middle class, and upper class blacks. They pushed poor whites out with a 30% markup, pushed them further west. That neighborhood housed Dr. King's parents, Major Ball was the police leader, Cynthia McKinney's father, Billy McKinney, many other people, from Dr. Blassingame of Morehouse. And I stayed in the A-frame houses that guarded all those big houses from, housing projects in the rougher parts of the community. But I was able to go to better schools, the Collier Heights Elementary School. I was able to go to Frederick Douglass High School and then matriculate in Morehouse. At the same time, having these wild, crazy adventures on Martin Luther King Drive and with my cousins in Southwest. So for me, when we had to live together, we were a better community because I saw inspiration all around me. Atlanta's one of the few cities where if a child sees a Bentley, he expects to see a black person in it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I knew excellence was within reach of me. And that's all I'm saying. When our community is stronger, the greater community becomes stronger because we add our dollar then to the greater community, but it's a powerful dollar, and the greater community then has to come into our community and work with us. Perfect example is...
Say that last statement. You said a greater community has...
The greater community has to come shop with you.
Yes.
Alonzo Herndon started the Atlanta Life Insurance Company. That insurance company insured blacks at a time no other insurance companies would. Well, he got his policies from the larger insurance company. Why did he learn about that? Because he had an all-black staff barbershop that serviced the white business class community. So if you build it, and if you do it, people are going to do it. All you got to do is have a competitive price and better business. I have a barbershop in the arena. Not just because I'm a black guy, 150 black barbershops in Atlanta, but we provide a service at and above your level of expectations. Our presentation is right. My wife had a business together, so we were prepared.
What's the name of the shop?
The Swag Shop, the Shave, Wash, and Groom Shop, 365 Edgewood Avenue, and the State Farm Arena. We also have, and they're growing. Our plan's 150. We have 3 now in Atlanta. Our plan is to put 3 in every major, urban market.
Wow.
And what do you see is when you're having this conversation, I'm sure you have it a lot, right? And people are always coming to you saying, how do I, what do I?
Yeah.
What's the biggest misstep that you see people in the beginnings of their ideas or their ambitions?
Paying people $900 and $1,500 to give you these e-conferences and,
Say it again.
The people paying tons of money for people to give you this online life coaching.
What do you mean? Like
people pay.
They go pay a life coach. Like, I need to figure out what to do, so they go hand someone money.
To tell me what to do.
Didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing. And
People love life coaching.
I see so many people. It's just Gary Vee puts his stuff up for free. Wake up, watch him get motivated, and go make mistakes and try again.
Right.
That's it. If you want to learn how to open a business, go down to the county office or the business office and say, hey, this is what I want to do. Tell me how to do it. And they're going to tell you what you have to do to meet code and meet law so that you do it. That's the first part. You do that part and then you go from there and you save your money. You stack. You try to make sure that you're good for a year and a half. So if you want to run a business, you want to take a year and a half off your job, save a year and a half's worth of money. Look for other people you can partnership and collaborate with, and listen to people who are smarter than you. Take their advice, And then your mistakes are just your mistakes, but don't blow it all on one wad.
Does Trump win another round?
Yeah. If he doesn't, if they don't find a true radical and progressive, yeah, absolutely.
Because the Democrats too moderate. They need to pick a side.
You need a radical. You don't put out fire with a match. You put out fire with water. Mm-hmm. So you need the antithesis. You can't beat Magneto without Professor X. Mm-hmm. You're gonna need the polar antithesis and opposite of that. Otherwise, people are gonna find reasons to say, well, he ain't so bad. At least in my opinion. I'm no political expert. I helped the mayor get elected, and I almost picked the winner on the presidential race.
Will you be supporting Bernie for his run?
If he runs, absolutely.
You think he should run?
I do, but that's not, it's his decision. But
He said he
I would
was,
like
right?
to.
Yeah. So he officially said he was.
he did win.
It's happening.
Nah, I talked to him 3 days ago. He didn't tell me.
Yeah, congratulations, you played yourself.
Nah,
not you.
Nah, don't let the white man get in between us, brother. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. I don't think he's announced. I think people from within his organization are indicating he.
Do you think he should? You said yes.
I think he should.
And because he is,
he's the antithesis of Trump. He is.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you. Dr. King had a vision for a beloved community: the eradication of poverty, the celebration of the worker and the fair treatment of the worker, the ending of politically based wars based on resources, the ending of corporations, and the restoration of human pride and dignity, before simple alliances to a nation. Like, he had these principles. When you put the agendas of your politicians next to those principles, what matches up the most? That's just my criteria. I don't know what your criteria is, but in terms of my criteria, if you don't match up with those beloved communities' fundamentals, then I just can't support you anymore. That's it, very simple. Whoever has the most dots on the board with that, that's who I support. If you don't, that's.
Yeah, I like Bernie. I just, I'm a registered independent, so
Yeah.
I vote when once they figure it all out, and I'm a strong believer in local politics.
I'm from a state you have to choose either or.
Oh, really? I didn't know that in Georgia.
So you can't pick independent.
You're picking a Republican or a Democrat. You're gonna have to register as one of them. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Stacey Abrams and how they stole the governor from her in that state. What's been the work going on? Because I haven't really been hearing what the next level of.
I don't think there is, and I think Brian Kemp is our governor, and I
that's
think
that.
You got to understand the system that allowed him allegedly to steal or not steal. Because I'm a resident of Georgia, I'm not going to call the sitting governor a thief. I still got to live there.
Well said.
What I'm going to say is the system that would allow Secretary of State to be over elections. We've probably only had 16 to 24 years of gubernatorialship by Republicans. Everything else before has been Democrat. So the system has been there. The system has been there when the Democrats were leading, and the system is there. So you fix the system. You don't villainize the guy who potentially used the system
in his advantage.
You also have been using for 100 years. I'm talking about political parties, not political people.
That's right.
Because in truth, Abrams and Kemp, for their particular parties, are much more towards center than other people. So as a Georgian, even though you want your team to win, Team Stacey as a minority in Georgia, as a person who supports Democrats, for all the reasons that are on the marker board. With that said, he is not a radical Trump-like Republican.
Right. It could have been worse. It could have been worse.
In Georgia, goddamn right, it could have been worse. Absolutely. And
got it.
So I have to give credit to Kemp that he has young African Americans on his staff. He's worked with people that are black and conservative, like the radio host Shelley Winters down there, and he has done some things that will progress us in a way. I have two brothers serving life in prison, and I plan to sit down with him and talk to him about prison conditions. So, in matters of politics, it's just about the allocation of resources amongst different tribes and groups. You have to talk to people and deal with people you may not want to, and Abrams and Kemp have both been good about getting across that aisle doing that. So, with the robbery or no robbery, the system needs to be fixed. Right. And the system worked 100 years for Democrats, and it's worked maybe 16 to 24 for Republicans. But for black people, the system does not work. For poor people, the system does not work. For working class people, the system does not work. So we should be bonded in fixing that system.
Because we have more alike than we are different.
Absolutely.
Killer Mike, trigger warning. Netflix, man. They're telling me I got to rap. I could talk to you all day.
I love you, brother.
Yo, thank
Run
you for
the
coming.
Jewels album soon.
Run the Jewels album this summer.